daily morning meditation, he carried a small paunch, and his face had a pallor that screamed stress. Self-consciously, she smoothed back her shoulder-length auburn hair. She'd been running around all day, and for all she knew, she had mascara smudged under her eyes.
"Have a seat. How did it go this morning?"
"Piece of cake." Hollis chose the high-backed, red leather chair in front of his desk. "I sat around for an hour longer than it took for my 10-minute item to be heard."
"Morris?"
Hollis smiled and nodded, waiting to hear why she'd been summoned.
"I want to talk to you about a new client."
He reached across his desk to a stack of folders and removed a sheet from the one on top.
Zoe Allen is a 78-year-old widow who has a travel consulting business. She also teaches a seniors yoga class and volunteers at an animal shelter.
"Impressive," Hollis said. George ran his hand over his thinning hair.
"Yeah, she sounds like a marvel, all right. Evidently, she and her husband came to Triple D about 7 years ago to revise their trust and update their wills. Avery Mitchell handled the paperwork. I wasn't at Triple D, and you were...
"In prison?" Hollis offered. Her time in Chowchilla Women's Facility in Central California was memorable for a number of reasons. It was undoubtedly the second lowest point in her life, the absolute lowest being when her ex-husband shrugged and turned his back on her, as she was escorted to prison for a crime he'd committed. As it was, it took years to get over the betrayal. But now she was grateful for the character-building time served.
Yes. Anyway, they moved to Southern California and retained the Coronado legal group in La Jolla, near San Diego. And it was that attorney who contacted me personally about 3 weeks ago, indicating that the husband had died some months before, and she wanted to return to our firm. Zoe Allen had moved back to San Francisco and changed her will to recognize a new beneficiary.
George gave a light cough into his fist.
Then, this past weekend, I was asked to meet with her because she was dying and wanted my help with implementing her will. Because there could be a perceived conflict of interest, I couldn't help her. In fact, I'd like you to handle the particulars."
"Okay, but a conflict? Who's the new beneficiary?"
"Me."
You?" Hollis blinked surprise. "Just how large is this estate?"
"Large."
George grinned sheepishly.
"Millions large."
"Oh my God, George! You're kidding me! How did you know her? No, wait, can you adopt me?" She laughed. George waved his hand.
"Very funny. I'm sure it's clear to you why I can't work with the Allen estate."
"Sure, that I understand. I take it she's a distant relative?" George handed her the file.
"She's my birth mother."
"Birth mother?" Hollis repeated and opened the folder. "You were adopted? When did you find each other?" George said nothing but stood and walked over to the window. From where she was sitting, Hollis could see the scattered sailboats on the bay. Not wanting to interrupt his thoughts, she, for once, waited patiently for him to provide the story. He finally turned back toward her.
"I was 14 when my parents told me I was adopted."
He reached under his credenza to a small refrigerator, pulled out 2 bottles of water and put one in front of her.
"The teen years are not the best time to hear that your birth mother gave you up. But my parents loved me, and they waited for me to get my head around the idea. Meantime, they had to put up with me acting out throughout high school."
Hollis opened the bottled water. She had to resist the urge to take notes.
"When I was getting ready to start my junior year in high school, my dad told my mom that he and I were going on a camping trip. You'd have to know him."